Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning. Coming to you from the International Diamond Center Studios, locations across the state of Florida, right there in Celebration Point in the heart of Gator Nation. Go check them out. International Diamond Center Studios. Also, Comfort Temp Heating and Air is your number one local HVAC company. Comfort is their business. Peace of mind is their promise. Today's show will have Brent Beaird, our college football analyst and Heisman Trophy voter, and Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. He was at the Gator press conference yesterday where both coordinators and the head coach spoke. We'll get his thoughts on that. If you missed it last night, the next opponent for the Gators, the Aggies of A&M, go down to Alabama. I was exhausted watching that game. I think it was 197 was the final. That was regulation. 79 three-pointers attempted by both teams. This guy, I bet, was a three-point shooter back in the day. Brent Beaird. Good morning. How you doing, Brent?
Hey, Shane. Yeah, I watched that game too. It was an amazing game, and basically went down to the last play where A&M was shooting a three to tie the game, and it bounced off the rim. So, interesting game. A&M still basically leads the league. Well, they've had an amazing year, to say the least. Bama goes to Auburn on Saturday, so that will be interesting to see where that goes. But it's been an interesting basketball race so far.
Yeah, it really has. Brent, yesterday was National Signing Day, which is no big deal in today's world of college football. It used to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I know anybody that signed yesterday.
Well, that's because very few people did. I mean, as far as your the proverbial, the hay is in the barn is very true. Again, we have the early signing period in December where most people sign, and then we had the regular signing period yesterday. So, I mean, and to your point, only one of the top 300 prospects in 24/7 Sports rankings were uncommitted going into Wednesday. So, Shane, that really tells you how much things have changed. Man, I remember doing radio and even some television on National Signing Day, and it pretty well went the whole day. But now the early signing period in December has taken all the attention away from it. So yesterday, frankly, was much ado about, I won't say much ado about nothing, but very little happened.
That is so true. I have not seen any of the so-called rankings from, school to school to see where they stand. Can you give us a breakdown of that?
Yeah, I'll give you the top 10 real quick. Southern Cal, this is in recruiting. It's not in the transfer portal. Alabama is second, Oregon third, Notre Dame fourth, Ohio State fifth, Georgia sixth, Tennessee seven, Texas 8, Miami 9, and A&M 10. Florida was 16 in the rankings. Florida State was 14. And again, the attention has been basically on the transfer portal instead of high school recruits, because in the transfer portal, you can get them on the field quicker. So, but recruiting still important. That's a quick rundown of what we got.
Yeah, Brent, I think we touched on it last week about the national championship game for next year. The amount of time,
Yes,
it's going to take to get this thing over with. And I saw, are they having 2 weeks between the
Yes.
quarterfinals and the semifinals?
Yeah.
Why?
That's amazing. To your point, here the quarterfinals, which are on a Wednesday, December the 30th, and then you've got a couple of games on Friday, January the 1st, and they don't, to your point, they don't play again, Shane, until January 14th and January the 15th with the Orange Bowl and the Sugar Bowl. So they're still trying to figure out what to do with this. I mean, it seems like everybody understands the problems except for the committee themselves. So this thing is spaced out. And remember, last year, Georgia played in the SEC championship game, and they didn't play their first game in the playoffs until a month later. So that is really the criticism at this point of the committee.
Yeah, for sure. On YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, a bunch of people are asking about how do the Gators match up with A&M. We'll talk with Chris Harry about that tomorrow, but A&M is the smallest team height-wise in the Southeastern Conference. I mean, they are extremely small. So we should have a huge advantage on the boards, in my opinion. Baron 71 on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, does Brent see the College Football Playoff Committee rewarding tough conferences schedules over weaker ones? It seems they penalize the Big Ten and SEC and for Group of Five and ACC teams.
Well, that's a good question. The problem that we've still got here is the non-Power Four being involved, and I do think at some point they may break off and do their own thing, which would be a 4-team, 8-team, 12-team playoff, and then that would move a couple of other of your Power Four teams in there. Also, listen, one of the amazing stats that came out this week was, to get this, Shane, Saturday, November the 14th, which is week 11, is the mathematical halfway point between week one and the title game. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense to me. I mean, I don't know what they're thinking. It's crazy. Brent, there was a longtime sports writer that covered the Auburn Tigers that passed away.
Yeah, Philip Marshall died a few days ago. He covered the team for 50 years, which is amazing. He was 76. He wrote for Auburn Undercover. His father was Benny Marshall, who was the legendary Birmingham News sports editor. It's very unusual for someone to cover a team for over 50 years. But that is what happened. So we just wanted to mention that one of the longtime sports writers, Philip Marshall, died a few days ago. So a lot of accolades going on about his life and his covering Auburn.
Yeah, Josh from Waimama sent a text here with a screenshot of an anonymous college football general manager said that USC, Texas Tech, Texas A&M, and Oregon and Miami spent the most money on their recruiting classes this year. Not surprised. That didn't surprise me at all.
That came out, and again, yeah. And by the way, Southern Cal was not only number one or one of them in spending. They also were number one in the high school senior recruiting race, shall we say? So, and we'll see if that translates on the field, right?
Yeah, for sure. The Pouncey twins, Mike and Marquise, invite you to try the mango martinis at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, handcrafted with their J.F. Hayden liqueurs. Try those flavors or find your favorite at shop.jfhaydens.com. All right, Brent, let's go around the Southeastern Conference. Any news out of Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, they've got a late commitment. Khalif Keith, who is the former Tennessee and App State running back, has joined the fold. Tino Sinceri, who was a GA at Alabama, is a quarterback coach now at Indiana. Bama also has a new offensive line coach, Chris Kabikulik, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, but he is the new offensive line coach. Bama's got only a couple coming back. They really struggle on the offensive line, so they really had to rebuild with that. Speaking of recruiting, Xavier Crowell, their 5-star running back signee, is ranked the number 1 running back in the nation for what that's worth with that. So just a little bit of news out of Tuscaloosa.
What's going on the plains of Auburn?
Well, the big deal this week with Auburn is even though he wasn't coaching for them, Gus Malzahn retired. 35-year career, began at Arkansas with the high school coach, and he obviously was in the SEC 68-35, 2 SEC championship game appearances, 1 SEC championship, and 1 national championship game appearance. Obviously, he was the offensive coordinator when Cam Newton was at Auburn. Not real sure what Malzahn will do, but he's stepping aside, I think, for now. He was at UCF as a head coach, and then he was at the offensive coordinator at Florida State. And by the way, as far as other stuff with Auburn, Auburn spent $30 million on next year's roster. Alex Golish had his press conference yesterday, so they talked about that a little bit. So, and again, Shane, the amount of money that's being spent is just mind-boggling, is it not?
No doubt about it. What's going on with the Gators?
One of the things I saw that was interesting, that kind of made the rounds, Jaden Baugh, 221 rushing attempts without a fumble was amazing, to say the least. John Summerall did a good job. 20 new incoming freshmen, 18 signees, and 2 walk-ons, and 30 transfers from the portal. So with 62 returning players, the roster right now is at 112. Khalil Jackson, the wide receiver, has been granted a 7th year of college eligibility, has not played since week 1 in the 2024 season. So hopefully he will be able to play a little bit, and he's waited a long time, so hopefully that will pay off for him.
Georgia Bulldogs, more issues going on there, right?
One of their defensive linemen, London Seymour, has been arrested and charged with 11.
Now who his daddy is?
That is
Richard Seymour.
That's right. Yes, charged with 11 second-degree felony counts of criminal property damage. So I know Georgia was hoping to have a quiet off season, and that's not helping by any stretch of the imagination. Georgia's outside linebackers coach, Uzo Deribi, and I may mispronounce that, is going to the Cowboys. So that's pretty interesting. Keeman Spell, a 5-star prospect, number 1 running back in the 2027 class, is also committed to Georgia. So Dogs getting it done in recruiting also.
What's up with the LSU Tigers?
They've done well in recruiting, as you know. 2 of the guys they got in the signing class, they term him an athlete. Lamar Brown, the number 4 overall guy. Richard Anderson, the defensive lineman. They had a really good class. Obviously a lot of transition, put it mildly, at LSU. Lane Kiffin coming in for Brian Kelly. And by the way, a lot of excitement already for the LSU Clemson opening game. So there'll be a lot of Death Valley jokes about this game that's coming up. LSU's already favored. Still not quite sure how you can determine a favorite right now, but they're trying to do that. So Lane Kiffin had a very good recruiting class and a very good transfer portal class.
Yes, he did. The Missouri Tigers. This little statue out here is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is. Missouri has the second fewest basketball wins in the league since joining the conference, one ahead of Vanderbilt. But they have the sixth most football wins. A lot of people thought that might be reversed and them be doing better in basketball than they would be in football. But again, give them some credit for what they've done in football since joining the league.
Yeah, it is nuts. Ole Miss Rebels, obviously, Trinidad Chambliss was denied, going back suing somebody else and trying to get eligible. I have no problem with it. I get it. I don't understand how some of these guys can play 8 or 9 years, but he can't get his 6th year.
Yeah. Well, I think part of what's going on here, and again, his waiver was denied. He appealed for a 6th year. This is a guy who finished 8th in the Heisman Trophy race. Also, that Ole Miss has brought in Deuce Knight, of transfer from Auburn, just in case this did not work. Now, Chambliss, they talked about in the court case, they wanted a waiver because he had some respiratory issues in 2022 at Ferris State. People may forget he came from Ferris State before he went to Ole Miss, but the NCAA is not buying that, although Tom Mars, who's a pretty prominent attorney, is his legal representative. So they're going to continue to try to get him eligible. So the reality is this is not over yet, and they will keep trying until they, I guess, run out of options here at this point. But Shane, to your point, the NCAA went through this situation for a while to where they were granting about anybody and everybody. You see that changing now to where they are refusing some of these transfers. So that they've kind of gone back and forth with it. So this is one we will watch very carefully, because it will, if he comes back for another year, that's going to be very interesting. And by the way, Keywan Lacey is also coming back at Ole Miss. Their running back, he is only a little over 1,000 yards away from being the all-time leading rusher at Ole Miss too.
Yeah, and the reason these kids, we talked about it on my program, the reason they want to keep coming back to school is they're going to make so much more money than if they happen to make an NFL roster, which the majority of them are not going to make it. That's why they're coming back.
That's right.
Another lawsuit trying to get him more years is Joey Aguilar at Tennessee.
Now, this is amazing when you think about it. Joey Aguilar has been in college since 2019, Shane. I'll run through this real quick. He was a redshirt in 19, COVID in 2020. He was a JUCO in 21 and 22. He went to App State in 23 and 24. 25, obviously played at Tennessee. And now he's looking for an eighth year. So not sure if he will get that, but he is trying to do so. And look, let's be honest, he's not a great quarterback, but he gives them some insurance if he can come back. And as you said a minute ago, doesn't have much of a career in the NFL probably. So that's what's going on. Tennessee had a very good recruiting class also in bringing in some guys. I won't go into depth with all that, and their orange and white spring game is going on April the 11th. So, and I thought this was very telling. I'll be real quick about this. Tennessee signing class of 2023, they signed 25 players. Only 7 of them are still on the team. So, and Shane, as you know, this is not just a Tennessee issue. This is an issue for a lot of teams.
It is so true. Brent, tell us what's going on with the semis, man. They got a lot of problems.
Yeah, they really do. There's no doubt about that. The biggest one, obviously, is they reported $437 million in athletic-related debt for 2025. Athletics made up 71% of that. Now, my understanding is a lot of that debt obviously was from refurbishing the stadium with that. So that's an issue that they're having to deal with. But look, no matter how you deal with that, it is still a lot of money. Mike Norvell is going to return to calling plays in 2026 after Gus Malzahn retired. So that is a change. I thought this was very telling, Shane, and this is from David Hale of ESPN. I'll give credit where it's due here. FSU's whoever starts at quarterback week 1 for them will be the seventh different starter in the last 29 games. Jordan Travis, was very capable during that time. And that I just, when I saw that, Shane, I couldn't believe it. I just thought that was an amazing stat.
It really is. Miami, obviously, they're basically just they're becoming like Lane Kiffin out of the portal, just signing kids left and right.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, their class in the portal was one of the better ones. It's ranked number 4 in the country. Miami, the only class inside the top 10 with fewer than 15 commitments, but they still did well. I won't go into all the names because a lot of folks don't know who we're talking about here. But still, the biggest name of all was Darian Mensah, who came from Duke, threw for nearly 4,000 yards, 34 touchdowns, 6 picks. So they worked all that out, and have gotten so Miami, because of the portal, because of recruiting, expected to be a good team again this year. Obviously, played in the national championship game, so certainly quite a run for the Canes, isn't it, Shane?
It really has been. Give us some nuggets, Brent.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention was about Texas. Their spring game is April the 18th. Their AD, Chris Del Conte, also mentioned that even though a lot of schools are canceling non-conference games, Texas has got Ohio State, Michigan coming up, and a home with Notre Dame. So they're going to honor those and keep those. So that will be a big deal. And look, I've already seen, as I'm sure you have, Texas being one of the especially with Arch coming back, expected to be among the top teams in the SEC. So that's something we will watch. But as usual, Shane, plenty of stuff going on, isn't it, my friend?
It always is. Brent, I got a little trivia question here. I screenshot this off Twitter yesterday. Thought it was kind of interesting. See if our people know this or if you know it. What quarterback has the most career rushing yards in SEC history?
Oh, my.
And here's what's crazy. They're out of the top 5, the same school has 3 of the top quarterback rushers.
They may have passed it years ago, but I bet not Arch Manning. I bet Archie Manning was on that high on that list at one point.
Well, they only gave me the top 5, and he is not.
Yeah.
The all-time leading rusher in SEC history by a quarterback is Nick Fitzgerald at Mississippi State. He had 3,617 yards, which is a lot.
Yeah.
Tebow was second at 29.47.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Jones of Arkansas at 25.35. Dak Prescott fourth at 25.21, and old John Bond of Mississippi State at 5 at 22.80.
Wow.
Yep, he ran the wishbone. So I thought that was very interesting. Mississippi State has 3 of the top 5.
That's incredible, is it not? Wow.
Yeah, it really is. All right, Brent, good stuff as always. Who you got in the Super Bowl?
Probably the Seahawks. That'll be interesting. Shane, am I wrong here? But I know people will watch it and they'll enjoy it, but for whatever reason, there seems to be less interest this year in the game than I've seen in a while. Is that because of the Seahawks being in it and people not knowing a whole lot about them?
I don't know. I love ball. I love games. I don't care who's playing. It's like I'll watch, Tarleton State play Stephen F. Alston.
Yeah,
it doesn't bother me. So, real quick here, Go Gators on YouTube, brought to you by Chloe Plum, says it always feels like the Gators are a step behind teams like Miami and LSU in the portal. Okay, let's not forget we won 4 games last year.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a new coach. Give it time. You got to win games, and we'll be all right.
Absolutely.
I thought we did a tremendous job in the portal this year.
I agree with that. Oh yeah. And look,
I think the most exciting player on our team came out of the portal. It's Eric Singleton.
Mm-hmm.
If people don't know much about him because he was not utilized correctly at Auburn last year.
Yeah.
But boy, he was electric when he played under Buster Faulkner at Georgia Tech.
Yeah, big time player. Yeah, absolutely. I think folks will be very pleased with this coaching staff as it goes along.
Yeah, for sure. MSR is a Jackie Sherrill offense. I don't think any of those guys played under Jackie Sherrill. I know John Bond did, and I think he played under Emory Ballard.
Yeah.
And then obviously Fitzgerald and Dak played under Dan Mullen. All right, Brent, good stuff as always. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll talk to you next week, my man.
Good. Look forward to it, bud. Thank you.
That's Brent Beaird. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Tent. We'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, we'll be joined by Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. He was at the press conference yesterday. We'll get his thoughts and comments on what he heard from the coordinators and the head coach of the Florida Gators. You're watching him and listening to PodUp Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Atlantic Roofing, Campus USA Credit Union, International Diamond Center, J.F. Hayden's Craft Liqueurs, Los Linderos Tequila, Meldon Law, Titan MRI and Imaging, Castaway Sauce, UF Health Orthopedics. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sports, Comfort Temp, Florida Cracker Oyster, Electronics World, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, McDonald's of Gainesville, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Advocare, MG&A Wealth. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And to advertise, call my man Freddie, 352-284-3733.
Naysayers. Setbacks. Injuries. Life throws a lot of hurdles your way. The key is just keep jumping them.
Coach, it always impressed me how you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your '06, '08, and '09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean head beer coach, 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat and bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
On April 7th, 2025, Gator Nation reached the mountaintop as Florida won the national championship in basketball. Now, relive every thrilling moment with Brent Beaird's new book, The Golden Season, the unforgettable story behind Florida's historic 2025 title run. Feel the passion, the drama, and the glory all over again. Available now at Spurriers.com. Click the shop tab. That's Spurriers.com.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Rue's Ogre State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visit OgreInsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. Back to the Titan More Highline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. It's our man, Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. What's up, Edgar?
Another cold day in Gainesville. Dreary day.
You'll be all right, Edgar. Yeah, very dreary. Hey,
where are you?
With this yesterday, I'm in Jacksonville today.
Okay.
Doing a little business here and there. Real quick before we get started, MSRK on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing wants to know: did you go to Tampa and witness the outdoor hockey game?
No, I didn't. I was unavailable. What I wouldn't have gone anyway. But it sounds interesting. What? Tell me about it.
Well, I didn't go either. You know, they played the Boston Bruins and the Bucks. The Lightning played in Raymond James the other night.
I mean, that's pretty cool. I honestly wasn't aware of it, if you want to know the truth.
Yeah, it's part of their outdoor series that they do in different football stadiums here and there, and they got very fortunate that it was 25, 30 degrees in Tampa when they played that hockey game. So, Edgar, yesterday was National Signing Day, and not a whole lot of excitement anymore on National Signing Day, but two coordinators and the head coach spoke to you media boys.
Mm-hmm.
Just tell me what you thought. Let's start first with Buster Faulkner. Give me your thoughts on him.
Yeah, he was fantastic. I tell you, when he stepped to the podium, I'm like, this guy was a quarterback? He doesn't have the stature you would expect. I know he played Valdosta State, but he was damn good there. He had 44 touchdown passes and led them to the national championship game as a sophomore, I think. 2002, maybe. I mean, 2002, maybe. But he talked about, just his philosophy. It was kind of interesting how he talked about how it was rooted in his experience as a high school player, where he played like a 3 yards in a cloud of dust offense. And then he gets to Valdosta State and it's air raid. So now he's seen like the opposite extremes of offense at this point. And it kind of gave him like a template to kind of build on from there with, seeing different ways to attack defenses. And then over the years learned to adapt to his personnel, which is a critical thing to be a good offensive play caller and coordinator, as you know, and something I don't think we saw enough of these last 4 seasons, particularly, right? You can't just have your system and expect your guys to fall into place and run that system if it's not as suitable to them. That was one thing Dan Mullen was excellent at, I think. We saw with the Kyle Trask season, right? They went from a team literally, I think, averaged 213 passing and 213 rushing in 2018. Literally, I think those numbers were exact to being a really high-powered passing offense in 2020, particularly. So you got to adapt and put your players in the position to make plays. But I'm sure you were ecstatic. I thought of you immediately when they mentioned 10 personnel and going four wide. So they plan to do a good bit of that. But he talked about using receivers in various ways. He mentioned Eric Singleton when he was at Georgia Tech, had a season where he had 22 carries for 200 yards or roughly that. And he's kind of a get it to guy, but he can take the top off of defense as well. He's got great speed. They want to improve his change of direction or keep working on that to get it, hone it and make him even more dangerous and explosive. And liked him, impressed. All three of the guys were they answer questions in intelligent, interesting, understandable ways, and don't shy away from questions. It's not spin, they're telling you what they think.
Yeah, which is great. The beautiful thing about this, outside of Dan Mullen in his years here, we now have a real play caller. Okay. I love Will Muschamp. I think he's a phenomenal defensive mind, but he had I think he did have a different offensive coordinator every year. Nobody that was like a proven one. Buster Faulkner knows what he's doing. And I think that will be electric on offense next year. Can't wait to see him utilize the different skill guys. Will they go 10 personnel? Yes. I don't think they'll major in it because 11 personnel is the best personnel grouping you can possibly have, because that's what gives defenses the biggest problem. So, but I'm with you. Go ahead.
Well, I asked him about, growing up in Georgia, and, he's old enough to remember Steve Spurrier, of course. And he said, I love Steve Spurrier. And I spoke to a couple of guys from Buster's past. In fact, I'm going to write a story on him today and probably, hopefully finish it today, but it's going to run Saturday, I believe, on, that he wants to, score 100 on you and leave you in the dust, one of the guys said. And he is definitely going to have that. He's a ruthless competitor, this guy was talking about. I talked to the quarterback from Valdosta State, Dusty Bonner, who he backed up for his first 2 years. And he said he was one of these guys who was engaged. He was a total sponge, and that he was a ruthless competitor who just maximized his abilities, because a lot of people doubted him, because when you see him, you're not like looking at a 6'2", 6'3" guy who can just, throw dimes, 50 yards down the field. But 44 touchdowns speaks for itself. I don't care what level you're playing.
MSRK on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says Charlie Weiss is the big mystery at Florida. He did well in the pros. Well, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't have his bio and resume in front of me, he had success when Tom Brady was his quarterback, and I don't think he had success after that. I don't think they had much at Notre Dame.
I mean, Brady Quinn had the one big year.
Yeah, but so anyway, I hear what you're saying, but not a great career calling plays. Andy's question for you, Edgar, is on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel. The NCAA is giving Khalil Jackson another year of eligibility. Will he see the field next year without wide receiver depth?
He's got good hands. He's definitely he made a few pretty impressive catches a couple of years ago, right? The South Carolina diving catch. He had one catch. I forget the team, but he had some impressive catches. The young man certainly has some ability, but it's a stacked room, man. Bailey
Mm-hmm.
Stockton was a guy who John Summerall singled out among guys working out, who said he was really setting the tone and working his tail off. So he's a guy who was kind of like, where's he going to fit in? Well, it sounds like they like him too. So you got VB3, you got Dallas Wilson, you got Singleton, you got Bailey Stockton. I mean, he mentioned a couple of the other transfer receivers coming in, Micah Mays. There's another one who's eluding me right now. I thought TJ Abrams came on as the season went on. He's a really good route runner. So there's a lot of competition at that position, but I mean the big three is as good a collection of three guys as has been here in a while.
Yeah, I think if I had to guess, we had to play a game today. You're going to see Dallas Wilson, Vernell, Singleton, Bailey Stockton will get majority of the plays.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to
Interesting.
play today.
Interesting. There is another receiver I'm forgetting too. Who is it? Do you know? I left
You're
my
talking
roster
about
in the
transfer?
room. Huh?
Talking about one of our transfers?
Yeah, there was another transfer. But anyway, it doesn't.
Yeah, there's another one. I can't remember where he's from, but I know how play callers are, and Buster is going to be he's very familiar with Bailey Stockton and Eric Singleton. They're going to play a lot, and they're both damn good players. And if people don't know, you talked about, obviously Buster knows who Steve Spurrier is because he was playing during that time. He's a visor guy as well. So
Oh,
that's
is he?
always a good
Okay.
thing. Yes, he wears a visor.
You got to love it.
Baron 71 on YouTube, brought to you by Qualify, says if Khalil Jackson is smart, he should leave UF with a master's or doctorate's degree from a top school and have a deep Gator ties in the business world. Not a bad deal at all. Well, here's what you got to remember. He's been getting paid. This will be his 7th year of still getting paid money. He gets NIL money even though he doesn't play a lot. I don't know what it is. But yes, I believe he graduated a year or two ago. He's a big body guy. I'm with you, Edgar. He's got tremendous hands. I don't know if he'll see the field much, but time will tell.
Local guy.
will-
There's interest in him, but
Yeah,
he's got the legacy. But
absolutely.
they're gonna have a ton of options, and iron sharpens iron, as they like to say. So all these guys are going to be competing every day. The quarterback competition will be interesting because we talked about it already on here. But do you feel like, Aaron Philo certainly has the inside track given his time with Buster Faulkner, but I'll be interested to see how Tramel Jones responds there.
I think you're going to have a healthy competition between those two guys. I think they're going to give both guys an opportunity to win the job. And do I think Philo has an advantage? Yes, because he knows the terminology. He's been in the system a couple of years. Doesn't mean Tramel can't learn it quickly. But I think you're going to have a nice competition. Two guys that can throw the football. Go Gators says on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Fun, if all those receivers get hot, do you see any backfield that can hang with our guys? Here's what I like to tell everybody. You focus on the Gators, but about everybody in the SEC has stacked wide receiver rooms because there's so many around America. So, look, it's hard to play defensive back regardless of who you're going against. Because, people watch tape or they see all these highlights, Edgar, of these one-on-ones, and they're like, man, that guy's getting cooked. We don't need to play him. Well, I would say 80% of the time or 85% of the time when you watch a one-on-one, it's to the offensive player's advantage because there's no pass rush, and it's just those two guys with the whole football field. So, anyway, I'm just going off on a tangent here. But do we have a good room? Yes. But I think majority of the Power 4 schools around America have great wide receiver rooms.
One thing Buster said was the last thing is he talked about Jaden Ball's versatility and ability to run routes and catch the football. He's exceptional at it for a running back particularly, and how he can really unleash him in various ways. I think he's a 1,500 yard from scrimmage guy, probably pretty easily if he stays healthy in this offense.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the one thing that impressed me the most last year with Jaden Ball was his ability to catch the football. And I'm
He's
talking about
exceptional.
make some difficult catches on not so great throws. So I'm with you. I think he can do it all. This text on the Titan More text line from Kevin says, I've always felt there's a difference from a leader and a manager. Summerall seems like a leader with some of his comments yesterday. How did Edgar feel in the room with him?
He seems like he has incredible leadership abilities and intensity. Everybody picks up on that. And he's going to coach players hard. And I hear that about Buster too, that he is a demanding coach. But players like those coaches, I think, right? They want coaches demanding of them and expecting of them. I mean, Steve Spurrier expected a lot. And I think the guys who played for him loved him. You hear this about Parcells, for example. Seems like a, SOB to the average person watching him, but players loved playing for him. And the list goes on. But the coaches that demand and get things out of their players and then have success, Kirby Smart, these guys, they're players' coaches in the end. Even though players' coaches, I think, has the kind of connotation that he's a buddy with the players, but they demand, and he's going to be that way. But yeah, he's in there in the weight room right now. He said he worked out with the offensive guys the other day. Asked him about special teams, the importance of those on his hierarchy, and how that was a big thing with Urban, who's a guy that he is reaching out to and speaking with regularly, it sounds like. I mean, I don't know how regularly, but they talk. And he admires Urban a lot. And Urban endorsed him, as we know. He and Coach Spurrier both were at his press conference. And that was a new thing. So Urban's focus on special teams paid off big time. Those two national title teams had incredible special teams, whether it was Brandon James or all the block kicks. And it's a different, I think, game now in terms of the rules. It's harder to block kicks, maybe in some ways, punts. But they had, like, I think I added it up, 17, those teams, two teams combined. They had one in the last 3 years. So I think they're going to be aggressive in all facets of the game. And Brad White will be the same, the defensive coordinator. You could tell from him. I mean, that's kind of how he came up too. So his thing is about mentality. I think they all are. And Brad White was talking about, you don't really know what you got until you get to put the pads on, right? And he's like, look, there's a mentality that comes to playing defense that goes even beyond the talent. And he said Miles Graham is one of the guys that has a combination of both, and that he expects to unleash him in a different way and get him coming downhill more than maybe he was last year. I don't know that there'll be quite as many coverage responsibilities for him, where he didn't like shine and at times, stumbled, but that's a tough job, as a linebacker covering, backs and slack guys if you get matched up or whatever it is. And Miles Graham is probably poised for a 100-tackle season, I have a feeling, in this defense.
Franklin says on YouTube, brought to you by Chloe Plumbing, the wide receivers we got are Micah Mays from Wake and Jalen Lloyd from Oklahoma State.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I don't know much about those guys.
Well, that second guy, Lloyd, if you go look, he didn't have a bunch of catches. He was somewhere before that, but man, he averaged. Yeah. He had like 3 touchdowns on a handful of catches and 28, 30 yards a catch. I think he had 3 touchdowns of 58 yards or more, some crazy number like that in a season. It was another school, though, I believe. He transferred to Oklahoma State, and then Gundy got fired. He only played a couple games there. Injuries.
Atlantic Roofing, your roofing experts for residential commercial roofing with more than 50 years of local experience. A few more minutes here with Edgar. Edgar, let me see, it was on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Kanye Ron. Summerall went around the room to talk individually with each reporter. What did he and Edgar talk about?
No, he just came and shook each person's hand, and then he said if I was given a quiz, I'd fail it. He saw me and said, "You're everywhere." I don't know why he thought that, but I guess I was front and center at the basketball game, and asking questions. But yeah, he seems like he's going to be extremely personable. I've already heard this before he got here. A good friend of mine covers the Tulane program and says the guy's great. And this guy is not easily impressed and by coaches in terms of, whether it's their performance or their personality. And he really liked John Summerall, man. He's just a likable guy. And I think he's already getting out there with the students, and he's already bonding with coaches on campus, which I know is a big thing in the Florida culture. And I like that about this Florida athletics culture. A lot of these coaches are, friends and support each other. And yeah, he's all about that, man. So I think people are going to like him. But again, he knows it comes down to what he does on those 12 Saturdays next fall to get people to really like him.
I think what you're going to see out of this staff, and you can just kind of feel it coming, or just you've taken it in from when they've spoken to the media. It doesn't matter who you are, Edgar. Your ass is going to have to earn playing time, right? And if you're not playing very well, you ain't going to play. And that's going to help you win football games. Play the best players. And I think this staff will do that.
Brad White says he carries a pencil, not a pen. And he's constantly moving guys up and down. And you can go from 1 to 3 or 3 to 1. And you have to earn your snaps.
You're dang right you do. And I think that's why it's going to be, it reminds me of when Coach Spurrier came in 1990. He basically, in the meeting, he said, I don't care who you are, what you've done, everyone has an equal opportunity to show what they can do here in spring ball. That's kind of the old coach speak, but sometimes coaches don't mean it. But if you want to win and you build a winning culture, you play the best players. And I do think this staff is going to do this. Edgar, good stuff as always, my man. You got any good stuff people can read here coming up? And who's your Super Bowl pick?
Yeah, I'm doing this Faulkner story. We got Rusty Witt coming up, the strength coach. Excited to talk to him. He was a topic early in the press conference. He came up immediately, and he talked about just how he got to Troy, and this guy had been there 18 months. He was going to fire him. And then he got to know him. It's like, I don't know that I should fire this guy. And he said, I wouldn't be here if I hadn't kept him. He thinks he just sets the tone, which, those guys are the touch point with the players for a good part of the off season. And, this guy's got, he was a Green Beret at age 33. Summerall's like most 23, or got people 23 don't want to become a Green Beret, much less at 33. So we're getting him. We're getting Todd Golden today. Kevin O'Sullivan's talking tomorrow for the first time in eons, coming back from his, suspension, his leave of absence. So there's a lot going on. Too much.
Yep. Who's your Super Bowl pick?
It's hard to pick against Seattle. New England, by all the measurables, shouldn't even be close to this game. So we'll see. Mike Vrabel's an incredible coach. But I tell you, Seattle has an excellent defense. So it's hard to pick against Seattle. I don't know anyone who isn't picking them. So maybe they'll lose.
Edgar, have a good weekend, my friend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, that's Edgar Thompson of the Orlando Sentinel. Join us on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Appreciate Edgar for joining us, and Brent Beaird. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.